Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. I hope y'all are all having a great day. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Carly Bell if you're new here, and I love doing machine embroidery tutorials. But today we are going to be going over one of my favorite subscription boxes, and it's from Me Time Delivered, and it's called Perfectly Pieced. So we have the November box today that we are unboxing so that you could see everything that is in it and decide if you want to subscribe for November, or if you're already subscribed, you have the option to skip. So this way you know what you're getting ahead of time. And if it's not for you, you can skip it. But I promise you, you are going to like it a lot. It's really, really, really pretty. So just want to stop and say hi to Chantel and Kim. And thank you so much for joining me today. So if you're new to Perfectly Pieced, it is in the hoop quilting. So I have just dove into the world of quilting this year, and I'm loving it. And the fact that we can put together beautiful quilt blocks in the hoop is very exciting to me, and that leaves me with just piecing the big quilt blocks together after, which I'm getting the hang of now. I'm going to tackle binding soon, and I'm going to complete some things. So hi everybody, thanks so much for coming. It's not morning, right? It's afternoon. I'm all mixed up. I wanted to do something a little bit later today. So thanks so much. Okay, so Perfectly Pieced in the hoop quilting, right? And it is a subscription. And the way the subscription works is you have two choices. You can either get a digital subscription, which I have trouble saying today for some reason, digitally delivered to your Me Time Delivered account online, where you just go and download the embroidery files and all the beautiful instructions, and you're good to go. Or you can get a physical box delivered to your door, which has some goodies in it. And that's what we're going to go over today. All right. So let's go over to the craft table. So first we're going to go over everything that is in the box. Then we are going to put together a quilt block. And I'm having a pillow problem right now. So we're going to turn the quilt blocks into a pillow, because y'all are going to love this one when you see it. So the November box has a winter holiday theme to it, which I love. And I love that we're getting it early so that we'll have it on our sofas before December, if you're making a pillow like me. So here's the beautifully packaged box as always, and our November insert. And it shows you everything that comes in the box. It tells you what stabilizers they recommend you use, our fabric bundle, our thread color, and our notion for the month. And our fabrics this month are from Art Gallery, Dear Stella, Robert Kaufman, FIGO Fabrics, Free Spirit Fabrics, and Riley Blake Design. So we have a lot of fun designers for this month's box. And it goes over, of course, all of your digital contents, which can be found in your library on metimedelivered.com. So all of that will be there. However, it does come with one set of printed instructions for this, which I actually forgot to put back in the box. So let me get that. All right. So now, this is what I'm getting since I have been subscribed since this summer, okay? If you are brand new and this is going to be your first subscription box, you are going to get a couple extra pieces, and that is going to be a getting started guide and 2 clear blue tiles. And the clear blue ties are really fun. I used them on my August project, and I went over how to use them in my CF Fans membership group. So if you are a member there, check out that tutorial on how to use the clear blue tiles. But this is what you get if you are a first-time receiver receiving a box. And if you've been at it a while like me, these are the contents for this month's box. Beautiful dark green thread, but it has like a metallic sheen to it. It's really pretty. It's called Basil, and it's from Glide and Filtech, which every month you get one spool of thread. Beautiful. Then the fabrics, because this is what we're here for. This is the whole reason to get the monthly box versus the digital files, is so that you get all of these beautiful fabrics. First, you get a card, and when you collect the boxes, the cards will come together to form a what you call, I forget, not a mosaic, but they all come together and form a pretty design that we can frame when we're done. And it has a tip on the back of each card. So it says, add your own touch with applique, stitched monograms, and a variety of thread colors. So way to add to your quilt blocks. But let's go over the fabrics. So there are 5 fabrics in this month's box. And I want to make it clear when I'm showing these to you, I have already cut, no, we get 6 fabrics. I have already cut all the fabric I need to make my pillow today. And this is all the fabric that I have left over. So what's really nice is I get to make the project with the different examples that they give you of how to put the block together. But then I also always have these pretty fabrics left over that I can use for other projects. So we have this green floral. This one's my favorite, I have to say. This is like a white, a cream colored with some different greenery on it. Super pretty. We have this one that reminds me of petals, almost like leaf petals. I have a pink fabric like this that I love, and I use it all the time. So now I got a green to coordinate with it. This is a pretty fabric that's called Galvanized, and it has like a copper and green mixed together. My lighting is not great today, so I don't know how well you can see that, but it has a very textured look to it with the blending of the different colors. And this is the pretty shiny one. We have, let's see, what's this one called? Emerald, which it does. It looks like Emerald City. It's very pretty. And then we have a solid green to go with it. So those are our fabric packs. And as I said, I already cut all my pieces to make my entire 18-inch pillow. And I have all of this left over. So that's always super nice to have that much fabric. And then every month you get a notion. And this month's notion is a cute piece that you can hang your quilt on, or a quilt block on. So for example, I have made some quilt blocks already. So here is one. And if I just wanted to feature this one, I can change it out every month in my craft room. I can put a little tack on the wall to hang this, and then I can hang this on the wall and change out my quilt blocks every month if I wanted to. So this is a fun little thing. And you can also, I've seen them put on, you know, those stands that hold like an ornament that's like it's stand up straight and it has a hook. You can hook that to one of those stands so that it's freestanding, and you could put it on a table or a desk or something like that, or a bookshelf, so that you can display one of your creations. So what I'm thinking is, since I have all this leftover fabric, I'm making this 8-inch project into a pillow, but I have enough fabric to do a 2-inch block, and I think I'm going to make one of these, and that's what I'm going to display on this piece here. So that's going to be fun to do 2 projects with all the fabric that I have. I can do my pillow, and I'm going to do a small little quilt block to hang and display. So that'll be a lot of fun. All right. So these are the pretty instructions that usually is at the bottom of your box. So it's showing you the pattern for the quilt block itself. So you can see we have a very geometric look this month with all of these different shaped triangles. And it looks very strange when you look at it just like this. But the cool part about these quilt blocks is depending on how you tumble it, how you turn it and put it together, you can keep with a geometric look with the 4-inch block project, or you can put them together to where they form a wreath. And of course, that's what I decided to do. I fell in love with this when I saw the example of it. And the quilting for this month looks like some holly berries. And so all the quilting is going to be with this pretty green thread. And then they have an optional step to add red berries at the end on one of the wreaths, which I'm going to show you here so you could see. All right, so I went ahead and put together 3 quilt blocks already this morning. And let's see, I think this one goes here, here, and here is how I have it set up. So these are 8-inch blocks. So they're actually 8.5 inch. And then once we piece them together, they will be 8-inch is the final size, giving me 16 inches for this. And then I have a border and binding. So altogether, it's going to be 18 inches for the pillow. So we are going to make this block right now. So isn't it pretty? Don't y'all love it? I love it. I love it. It's so pretty. Okay. So let's put the blocks aside. I mentioned to you that I already cut everything, and I saved, these are the stickers that came with, I think, the August box, and they come in really handy because each one of these blocks used a different set of green fabrics for the pieces. So in the instructions, it tells you there are 4 different blocks and how they recommend you configure the 4 different blocks and which ones. So I had all of mine labeled A, B, C, and D, and these are the 6 pieces of fabric in order as they are put on the machine, and then of course the batting. So I have all that ready and cut to size, and in the instructions they tell you, it's really nice, like they'll have a picture of the piece of fabric in like the big piece dimension that they sent to you, and they show you the most efficient way to cut your fabric to get all these, all the different size blocks that they recommend. So it's really nice and no heavy thinking, no calculating, just I follow the instructions and I cut the blocks, the fabric the way that they recommend, and I get the most out of it. And that's why I have so much left over when I'm done. All right, so because I'm making the 8.5 inch blocks, I am using my Baby Lock Altair, and I have a 9.5 by 9.5 inch hoop. So this is the hoop I am using today. And that's particularly because I want to make the big blocks. But this project can be done on as little as a 4x4 hoop. So the smaller the hoop you have, it's just the more blocks that you end up making and then piecing together. So I like the 8-inch ones because I only have to piece together these 4 and then the border, and then I'm done. But was it last month I did the 4-inch blocks, and it comes together really pretty depending on how you situate your blocks and what kind of pattern and look you're going for. So I just hooped some cutaway stabilizer. If you have poly mesh, that works really well. Unfortunately, I don't have a piece of poly mesh that is as big as this hoop, so I'm using my pre-cut sheets of cutaway that I have. I use the Stay Perfect brand. All right, so let's head over to the machine and get started. Any questions before we get started putting the block together? Just let me know in the comments. All All right, also let me know how my connection is, because I did get new internet this past week that I am trying out, and according to my computer, it's saying I have better speeds than I usually have. So let me know if everything is coming across clearly and not glitching up or anything, okay? All right, so this is my baby Lock Altair. This is my Mac Daddy here. I love this machine. It is a sewing and embroidery combo machine. I got it from Sewing Machines Plus, and I have a direct contact at Sewing Machines Plus. Her name is Jean, and I have her phone number and her email info in the description box, either below or above this video. So if you are interested in this, call her. Tell her I sent you, and she is going to get you the best deal on this or any other machine that you're looking for. But I highly recommend the Altair. I love, love, love it. I love the giant hoop, especially for all these different pillow and quilting projects that I've been doing. The large hoop really comes in handy. So I'm just loading my green thread that came with the box. And so I'm going to do all the steps in this green thread. All right. And the first step, I have the design already loaded up and everything. And the first step is the placement to show you where to put your batting. Now, if you are making the project like me, do your batting. However, if you want to just put the blocks together and then quilt it using the clear blue tiles when you're done, you can skip this step. Don't do the batting. Just piece the blocks together, and you can do your quilt sandwich when you're done piecing all your blocks together. Annette has a good question about this machine. Can you sew without removing the embroidery arm? Yes, you can, Annette. And that's something that I love about this machine, because it has such a huge bed area. So I'm going to show you when we're done piecing the block, when we're done embroidering the block, we are going to piece it together. So I'm going to switch it over to sewing so you can see how easy and seamless it is. I never take the embroidery arm off. I just change out the foot. I put it on its sewing. The embroidery arm moves all the way to the end when you do that, and so it gets out your way. Now, all the sewing projects I have done, it has not gotten in my way. However, of course, I think if I were working on like a really large project, then I might take it off. But so far, so good. I have not removed it, and I just switch the foot and sew. All right, so this is my batting, and I cut it, I think 9 inches by 9 inches, so that it's a little bit bigger. And I've had trouble in the past where my batting got caught up, so I go ahead and tape it now. So I'm just using the Kimberbell paper tape just to make sure it doesn't shift. Also, when you're doing projects with batting, if your machine has it, which it should, you can lift so that the presser foot doesn't push down so much. You can lift the presser foot to be higher. So like, there's my presser foot. It's not pushing down into my batting to where I think it's too low. So you can raise this level here when working with projects with batting. So I am going to start, and now this is going to give me my sew line. So what's really nice when you're putting together the blocks like I am with the batting in it, you don't want the batting to be in the area where you are going to be sewing, because that's going to create a lot of bulk in your seams in between pieces. So what it's stitching here is a little bit inside of that, and we are going to trim all this batting away when it's done, so that we have a 1/4 inch seam allowance on the side, but it doesn't include the batting in that. All right, let's see. Hi, Lydia. Hi, Linda. All right, so Linda has a good point. Her largest hoop is 8 by 12. So I have the same issue with the Persona, and I haven't tested it out yet. The way the block is made is it's 8 inches finished, but 8.5 when it stitches. So no, if you uploaded it just like it is, you would not be able to fit it in your 8-inch hoop, whether it be 8 by 8 or 8 by 12. However, I haven't tested it yet, but I think you could slightly shrink the design, because I mean it is just running stitch, you know, all of it, with the exception of this one has some pretty satin holly berries. You should be able to resize it without it messing up, and change it to be what, either a 7 or a 7.5 finished block. So add a 1/2 inch onto that for your seam allowances. As long as you stitch all your blocks that way, and you will have to calculate what your finished project dimensions will be. So if you're making a pillow, you know, you maybe need to make your border bigger so that the overall project is 18 inches. So you can figure that out, and it can be done. I just haven't personally tackled that yet myself. But maybe that could be something we do next month or the month after, because I know I have a lot of friends that have the Persona, and that has the largest field is 8 by 8, and I want to see about making a quilt block on there as big as we can. So I'm just using my applique scissors to trim this batting, just like if you were trimming applique, right along the stitch line. Okay, so that is done. Now we'll lower the presser foot, and it's going to stitch the complete pattern of the block, like all the triangles. And that's going to give you a visual of where your fabric pieces are going to go, and is the first step to getting it all together. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Linda saying she never thought about that. You do have embroidery. So I would just open up one 8-inch blocks in embroideries, and I would shrink it, and you can see in embroideries exactly what the dimensions are when you shrink it. Shrink it to where it is either, I would do the final block be 7.5, and then your design is 7.5, and then the final, after you piece it together, will be 7. And then you would just add on a couple inches to your borders, and then you can still make the same pillow. Hi, Karen. I hope everything goes well at the dentist for you. No cavities, no cavities, no cavities. Like no whammies. Yeah, so Cindy said she'd like to see that too. Maybe we can play with that in my in either next month, or I can also, if I have enough of my CF Fans members that are interested in quilting in the hoop, we can do that in my CF Fans group as well. All right. So the first little square that went around it, that is your cut line. So this one on the outside is your cut line. That's where you're going to cut your block when it's done. And then they got one right outside the batting that it's going on now. That is your sew line. So that's showing you exactly where, when you put two pieces together, that's the line you're sewing along. So it's just going to put all of these together. And this month's really fun because if I had to piece these together, each triangle, like on the regular sewing machine, it would look horrible. There's no way I would get all these points to line up perfectly. No way. All right, so now that we have the batting on, trimmed, and we have our full pattern stitched on there to see where we're going, we are starting with this triangle first. And I have my fabric already cut for that triangle. We're going to put it right side up. The first piece is always right side up. Everything from this point on is going to be right side down. But this one's right side up, and we are just covering this whole area with the fabric. So your piece looks a lot bigger than what it's needed, but you'll see that it is important that you have overlap in some areas. So I'm going to lower the presser foot and go. All right, now that one line goes across. So once we get this started, it's kind of like a rinse and repeat. We're going to keep doing the same thing over until the whole block is done. So this is it's a trim and a placement line. So that's our first piece. And then we will trim right along that stitch line. I'm always trying to trim where I don't have to take the hoop off. All right, and then we have some fabric left over. Now it also serves as the placement line. So I have my next piece of fabric cut and ready to go. And this one you want to put right side down, which I think with this fabric it really doesn't matter. You can't tell. And you want to line it up right where with this placement line that you just stitched. Okay, just like that. Then lower and go. And I've had this trouble in the past. If it doesn't go across, use a little stiletto or something to make sure your presser foot doesn't get hooked up underneath. I think this happened to me last month when I was doing it live. All right. Now, there are lots of steps where you do need to take the hoop off of the machine. And let's take it off now. Now, in between each step, we are going to press these folds. So we're going to take this, we're going to fold it over, and we're going to use our mini iron and press it. So let me switch cameras for you. Okay, so we're back at the craft table. We just stitched this line right here. Now we're going to pull this over, and my iron is still heating up, but you just want to press right along that seam. And I'm using the Cricut Easy Press Mini. You can also get one of those small travel irons from Walmart or Amazon. Something that's going to, and you want something that's going to fit inside a 4x4 hoop so you can use it for any project. This is not really that hot, so I'm going to let it warm up a little bit more. All right, I think that's good. Okay, so now we'll go back over to the machine and, like I said, rinse and repeat. The next line it will stitch will be the trim / placement line. Okay, I'm just going to pull this out a little bit. Now my iron's hot. And just lift this up and trim it. And then remember, this also serves as our placement line for our next piece of fabric. So we're having this. So we need to put it right side down and just put it right along that stitch line. And it shouldn't have a problem, but I have my presser foot up higher so that I don't have a problem with the fabrics getting caught underneath. You can use a little stiletto or a chopstick or pencil eraser just to make sure things are going the way they should. All right, now we will remove and press again. Okay. And then we're just going to take this, fold it over, and press. So just a lot of going back and forth with stitching, trimming, pressing. So if you have a little ironing station, it does really come in handy to have that set up and ready to go to pull your hoop off each time. And you don't need anything fancy. I just have a little gray wool mat and a little mini iron, and I just have that. If you have space next to the table that your machine is on, just clear a little space so that you have that ready to go. All right, we stitched here, so now I'm just going to take this and trim it. All right. And our next piece of fabric is this one. And again, we'll put it right side down and put it right along the stitch line. Okay. Okay, let's go press it. All right, so we just stitched this line here. I'm going to take this and fold it over. We see those points are coming together and looking really nice. All right, so let me check the chat. Yay, Lady Thursday is glad to see I'm using my mini iron. Oh, I forgot to change it to the machine. She loves her. I love mine too. I'm so happy I finally bought it. All right, let me go. Now we're gonna go trim that. Okay, so we just stitched this line here, and we're going to trim this piece. Pull this outside better. There we go. A little piece here. Slide that back on. Okay, that is also our placement line for this piece, which we'll do right side down and line it up. Okay. It's so fun how quickly these come together. Like I had some things to do this morning, and then I came up here. don't know what time, but I ironed all my fabric that came in my box. Then I cut all my fabric. I cut what I need for my borders. I cut what I needed for the back of my pillow. Then I cut my batting, had everything lined up and ready to go, and then I just made quilt block after quilt block. So on my machine, they take 12 minutes of stitching. Of course, it's going to be longer than that because you're stopping, you're taking it off, you're cutting, you're ironing, pressing the pieces together. So let's say at most 20 minutes a block. You know, you can have this put together in a couple hours and have a whole project done, which I like. I'm all about projects that I can get done in an afternoon or, you know, within one day. It's not me having to keep coming back to it. All right, we had that one long stitch line here, and I'm just trimming. We're cutting into 2 blocks when we trim this one. Okay. So we have that done. And let's push it back up. And this is our final piece. I have this pretty greenery one again, and I put it right side down, and I use my placement line. Something's not right. Nope. My machine is freaking out. No, the presser foot ain't working. What's going on? There we go. I think I messed something up early. When I was stitching my last block, my thread came off my thread stand, and it got jammed. It got like to where it was too tight. So the machine shut off and stopped itself. But at the same time, it bent the needle, and I couldn't get the needle to come up because it was bent. So that was a whole thing. But I got it out. But I think it might be angry with me. Let's see. All right. So presser foot is down. And this is the last stitch line. All right. So we will take this off and go press it for the last time. Let's see what Wendy said. Too bad they don't come pre-cut, huh? The pieces of fabric. Yeah, it would be nice, but I understand why, because you don't necessarily know. See, I don't know if I did a good job here. When it should work. My stitch, I'm gonna have to cut in a little bit on this corner. Do you see this exposed corner there of stitching that I don't have any fabric over? I think it's going to get cut to where it's missing. I have some like that, actually, a few of them. Like this is cut, but you could see there's the batting is there, but the fabric doesn't go all the way to it. But when we sew it, I think it's going to hide all that. I think the same will be for this. All right, so all of our pieces within the block are done. So now all that's left is going to restitch this cut line, the outer one, and then we'll start with the quilting, which comes together to make the wreath look of the design. But yeah, the fabric coming pre-cut would be hard because you have so many options of sizes of projects you can put together. And each one of those projects requires you to cut your fabric in different pieces. So it's nice to, you know, decide which projects you're going to do. Then the instructions, you know, you go to the instructions for that size, and it shows you everything you need to do. And so I ironed all my fabric. I cut all my fabric to what the recommendations were. And I put my blocks together. I labeled them A, B, C, and D. I put them in the order they needed to be stitched. Like, I got a nest. Let's cut. All right, I could see that my thread was getting very thin. And when I watched it going up and down, I saw that happening. So I'm just gonna pull that out and rethread. So this fun thing here, we don't want that. All right, and then I need to back up because I can see it really stopped catching way over here. So I'm going to hit the needle plus minus and back up about 30 stitches, and let's do that again. I have a little tail right there cut. Okay. So that, if you were doing where you didn't use the batting and you just wanted the blocks pieced together, the inner part of the blocks pieced together, and then you were going to make your quilt top and then do your quilt sandwich, you would stop here. This is your cut line, you're done. However, since we are doing the pillow project with the batting in it, we're going to go ahead and quilt it in the hoop. So I'm going to lower my presser foot and go. It has 3 steps for the quilting. I think this is so that if you did want to do the pieces different shades, you can have this one shade. You can have the inner wreath that actually goes over the green section, a different shade, and then these outer branches, a different shade. However, I'm doing them all the same, but the machine does stop in between those 3 pieces of quilting so that if you did want to change thread colors, you can. All right, and then now this is the quilting that goes in the green part of the wreath. And then the Lady Fair asked, do we add the red berries? Yes, so the red berries are actually going to be the last step. So I'm using the same color thread throughout the whole block until the last step. I'm going to change it to that red color you see loaded on my thread stand on top of my machine. And you can skip that step if you wanted to. It's totally optional. Oh, yes, Diane. She said she's so happy that you get to see the things that go wrong. Yes, because if I would have been live when my needle bent, that would have been really fun. But you would it worked out, and that's what we do. I mean, it never fails. Almost every project I work on, something happens. Whether it just be as simple as a thread break and you need to back up, you got nesting, you got your bobbin runs out. And then you have the really fun things where you have needle breaks, where your needle bends, and yeah, all that's a lot of fun. But we have to know how to troubleshoot those things so that we can get over those humps when we are presented with them. Yay! Cindy loves the note. When I got my box and I started seeing the previews of what the projects could be on the Me Time Facebook page, I was like, oh, I need that wreath in my life. I love it with the red berries. Oh, it's going to be so pretty. All right, so that was the quilting within the green section. and now there's some quilting on the outer section here. And as I said, the machine stops with each one of these, so that if you did want to vary your thread colors, that would be fun. Something that would also be fun, like maybe, I don't know what color. I mean, white would be pretty along the green section so that it would stand out, but I like the green. I like the green on green. However, for these sections, if you wanted to do a different color for the inner, and then also if you got your hands on some pretty green variegated thread, which with variegated thread, I don't have any right next to me to show you, but it changes colors as you pull it out. So I love quilting with variegated thread. I think it comes out so pretty. I actually got some in the Bella box. If you saw, was it last week? I unboxed the fall Bella box, and it's a family tree theme, and it's super nice. All kinds of really beautiful projects inside. And one of the things they give you for a tree project is some brown variegated thread. And so it changes shades from like tan to light brown to dark brown as it's stitching. And we're going to stitch a tree with that thread. And that just gives it a little pop of something extra in your quilting and your embroidery. All right, so that is almost done. Okay, so that's it for the quilting. So if you wanted, you could stop there. Or now if you want to add that touch of color of the red berries on the green part of the wreath when it all comes together, now you're going to change threads. And I have this really pretty red that came in a thread set that I got from Brother. Really pretty color. And just going to thread that. And this was the one, see there, it just jammed up. I need to make sure it's not pulling on something. Okay, this was the one that jammed up on me and bent my needle. All right. Everything looks good, so y'all keep an eye on it for me. And now it will stitch the berries. And the berries are a satin stitch little circle, which is beautiful, but it does take a minute to stitch out. So this is, as far as stitching goes, this is the longest part. So let's see, it should take only about 3 minutes to stitch out all the berries. And with my machine, it's going to cut the jump stitches in between each one. So if you are working with a machine that does not cut jump stitches, you'll have little jump stitches in between each berry. All right. Yay, Patty's watching live on her lunch break. Hi, Patty. I hope you are having a fabulous lunch and you have something delicious to eat. All right, Mary asks, is the wreath design included? So once you put the blocks together, you'll see we are going to form the wreath. So let me move this. So we are stitching the last block of this project. This project is 4 blocks. So you see the way you turn it. Now, you could do this instead. And then you have 2 inner wreaths, and that would be fun where if you wanted to do those different colors. Now there's no option to put the holly berries there. Oh, my bobbin's out. Let's go back to the machine. All right, so you see something's going to happen every time you stitch. Something happens. All right, so it's saying my bobbin thread is almost empty. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut. And this just happens, but we just deal with it. And I'll show you, I haven't had any trouble with this method. So I take my hoop off, open my bobbin case, take it out. I see I got a little bit left, but definitely not enough to finish anything. So I'm gonna toss that. And I buy the pre-wound bobbin. So this is a brand new bobbin. And I got, which one's the tail? This one. Okay. You want to have it to where when you pull it, it is going counterclockwise and your tail is on the, was that left-hand side? And you want to drop it in. And you have a thread path on here that's easy to follow. So you just pull your thread around this tip, over and around. Now, there's a blade here to cut your thread. You don't want to just put it and cut. You want to pull a few, like 6 to 12 inches off and then cut. And that's going to set your bobbin tension. That's really important. Every time you change a bobbin, make sure you have some excess that you pull through before you cut it. Now, we put our hoop back on. Okay, but I don't want to just start stitching. I want to back up a little bit. So I'm going to hit return. I'm going to hit the needle plus minus. And it just started stitching a new berry. I got lucky in that it just started. So I'm just going to back up to the beginning of this berry. So I'm just going to hit -1 stitch. See, this is the last stitch of this berry. I'm going to go +1. That's the first stitch of that berry. But if you are in the middle of a satin stitch or a running stitch, usually backing up about 20 stitches is enough so that you have some overlap to lock those stitches and nothing comes undone and frays. All right. So let those keep stitching. All right, so we were talking about the quilt blocks. So it all depends on how you turn them. On what kind of look you can get. So, I mean, for this one personally, I like the wreath the best, but it also does look cool if you form these two wreaths and if you did these in a different color. So, if you did the red maybe in the middle and like a variegated one here, I think that would also how you want your project to come together before you actually piece it. So while those berries are stitching, I forgot I should have sewn some of this together before I started, but I wasn't thinking. So once we have our pieces together, we're going to put right sides together like this. And let me just put this one out the way for now. So right sides together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at it like this and make sure those wreaths, the pieces of the green, overlap like they should. So that when I clip it, and open it, it looks like it should. Like I want that point right there to be good and this point right here to be good. So you just make sure, and the way the cut lines are, it's really hard to mess up when you trim your block when you're done, and then you have these kind of indications of where you're supposed to sew and where you're supposed to line things up already. So it's pretty easy to put together. So I have these done, and then when the new piece comes, we will put those together, and then we'll do a 1/4 inch seam allowance down these and start putting everything together. So we have a few more berries. All right, so wait, I'm looking up at the comments. Okay, so Cindy has a good question. She's having trouble with her needle not picking up her bobbin after a jump stitch is cut. Any ideas on what can cause this to happen? And it's, is it cutting? is it cutting correctly? Could they have a little like piece in the bobbin case that cuts it, and there's like a little bar to swipe the thread away after it cuts it. I would check all of that and clean out your bobbin case really good. That would be the first thing I would try, Cindy. Yes, so Karen said Sewing Machines Plus has a really good bundle on a new machine. They do. So if you ever are interested in getting a new machine and you want to go through Sewing Machines Plus, which is I highly recommend, call my friend Jean. She's my direct contact there, and this is her direct number. You can call her, tell her Carly Bell referred you, and she's going to help you get the best deal. Maybe get some accessories for free. Oh, none of my things worked out well. I guess I did not load my bobbin very good. Am I on the machine? Yep. Okay, so let me show you. Was not paying attention. And I don't know if you could see, but none of the rest of the red berries came out like they were supposed to. So something is obviously wrong with my bobbin, which I thought I set right, but apparently I didn't. So let's take that out. All right. Unwind it. Pull. And let's try that again. All right. I'm not going to worry too much about, I'm not going to try and pick that out or anything. I'm just going to pull any that are like loose and poking up. And we need to go all the way back to this one here, the first one that we started on. Something wasn't happy when we did that. Okay, so we're finished embroidering. So from the needle plus minus, it's on the first step of the design. So I'm gonna go back a step, and now it's on the berries. But I want to fast forward until I get to this berry. So I'm just gonna jump ahead 100 stitches at a time. Okay, now I'm at this one. Now I'm gonna jump ahead 10 stitches. And I'll back up one at a time, do the same thing we did before where I want it to be the first stitch of that berry. Now I'm going to stand here and watch it like a little baby and make sure it does what it's supposed to do. Now it's working. Okay, so sorry, we got to wait on these berries to finish now. All right, and then it's going to jump over and get the rest of those berries. Sorry about that. You see, that's why it's important our bobbin is right. All right, so let me take that off. All right, so Lund's Design says which machine I'm using. This is the Baby Lock Altair, and I have a link for it in the description box. All right. Yeah, so Anita says she likes it with the wreath turned out and the embroidery in the middle. Yeah, I think that's pretty too, Anita. Let's see. Okay, Diane has a good question. Can we get these boxes in Australia? Let me look real quick. I want to say that they started doing international shipping. However, it is a little expensive. I'm looking at their website right now to see if I see anything specific on. Let's see, we got a frequently asked question. Let's see if they have an international shipping. Will you be shipping internationally? We are happy to ship the Bella Box internationally. Shipping rates may vary depending on location. For perfectly piece and collectible Christmas, please choose our digital options, as doorstep subscriptions will not be shipped internationally. Okay, so that answers that question. So not for perfectly piece, not for the Christmas collection, which is coming out next month. I'm very excited about that. But they will for the Bella Box, Diane. And they do have the new fall Bella Box out now that you can order. All right. Any other questions you guys have? Almost done with those berries. Okay, let's see. Maybe while that is finishing up, I can tell y'all about what else I have going on. Let's see. Something sounded funny. No, you're good. You happy? Okay, everything looks to be okay. And this might be the last one. No, I got two more. All right, so let's talk about some other things that we have going on this week and in the upcoming weeks. So, well, that's done. Let me go grab it. All right, so yay, we have a finished quilt block. Very, very pretty. I love the berries. They're so pretty. All right, so 1 minute, let's go over things that we have going on. So I'm on a pillow kick. I want to make all the pillows. So we're making my December pillow here, but I still have yet to make something for November for Thanksgiving kind of home decor things that I want to make. So if you are a member of my CF Fans membership group, tomorrow we are having our private Zoom class, and we're making this, so with the CF Fans group, it's a monthly membership club that you can be in with me, and your perks of being a member are that you get a private Zoom class with me once a month where we go over a different project every month, and you get a free embroidery design from me every month. So this month I actually have 2 free designs. We did a breast cancer awareness ribbon, a really pretty motif sketch design at the beginning of the month. And then for our project, I made this pumpkin applique trio. And I love the vines going through, and I did the leaves in felt to give it a little extra dimension. So this was my test stitch, and we're going to turn this into a pillow. So that is tomorrow's class. So if you are a member, the class starts at 10:30 a.m. Central Time Zone. And then, of course, it is recorded so that anyone that can't attend live, you can watch the replay whenever you want, and you can ask me questions in the CF Fans membership group. If you end up watching the replay and you have any questions, you can always ask me after. But that's what we're doing tomorrow, making some pumpkin pillows. Then next Friday, we're going to have our bi-weekly Sip and Stitch, and that is going to be all about Embrilliance and the Embrilliance platform, and then focusing mostly on Embrilliance essentials and how to use embroidery software to make things happen like you want on your embroidery machine. So those are the upcoming things. And then the big thing for November for me personally, and where did I put all my pieces? Is I am hosting a holiday workshop, and it's called the Sip and Stitch Holiday Workshop. It is a week long of classes, where it's a class every day, and we'll make a different project every day from start to finish. And I got a few of my favorite embroidery digitizers to make an exclusive design for me for this workshop. So we have exclusive designs from Lenny Penny, Applique Alley, Designs by Little Bee, Creative Appliques, and Alphalicious. So 5 really fun projects, Zoom classes with me teaching you how to make them. Everything is recorded, and you get lifetime access to the designs, the recordings, all the workshop materials. So if you'd like to get more information on that, there is a link in the description box that you can click, and gives you all the information about how the workshop is ran and all the goodies that you get with it. So click on that if you'd like more info. All right, so let's head to our finished block. So all right, I'm going to take this out. I'm done with this. And there are a few different options as far as cutting this. You can use, where am I? I have orange pop rulers somewhere. Those are made by Kimberbell. And those, here they are. You can get the 8-inch, 8.5-inch square and line it up right over that, and you have the cut lines to cut this block. Then another really cool ruler I got is this one called Stripology. And this one is a big acrylic ruler that has each 1.5 inch has a slit in the acrylic where you could put your rotary blade in there. And so you can cut, it's really great for cutting strips of material. And I use this a lot when I'm preparing my blocks and cutting all my pieces of material ahead of time. I use this a ton. It's great for that. And you can also cut your finished blocks when you're done. It's hard to tell, but you see these black, lines here. There are also white lines, and they have them for each size finished block from 4.5 all the way up to 12.5. So you can center your block on the 8.5 inch right here, like this. And I could see the white line is right over my green stitch line, and I can cut and then turn it and place it again and cut. Now, all of these things are fabulous, but really all you need is a rotary cutter and a plain old ruler. You could do that as well. So that's what I'm going to show you here. So I love the 2 other rulers, but this works as well. So you just cut off, and I'm cutting right where that green stitch line is. That is my cut line. So I'm just lining up my ruler on that. And then you get your block ready to go to be pieced together with all of the other ones. All right. So, and then I see a lot of my friends on YouTube that do a lot of cutting. They have this cute little vacuum to get up all these things. But what I found works the best is just a lint roller. And I do this, and it gets all those little stray pieces of thread off my cutting mat. But like some of them are like dug in there. So, but this works well. Pick up your little messes after cutting. All right, so get rid of this. And now we can see what our finished project is going to look like once we piece it all together. And I'm obsessed. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, so very quickly, I'm going to show you switching the machine over to sewing and just piecing this block together. And then I will, let's see, let me show you the rest too. So I have all this cut and ready to go, but just for the sake of time, I did show the complete putting the pillow together 2 months ago, I think, for the September perfectly pieced box, so you can see it all coming together. But we'll just put these blocks together, and then when I'll end the video, and then I will continue and put, we have this for the border. So this is going to go top and bottom. Oh, you can't see it. Let me back up. Okay, so top and bottom, side and side. We'll stitch all of that together. And then I did, this is my first time cutting and stitched bias binding. So I cut like strips that were 12 inches long, and then I sewed them together on a bias so that I can make a long continuous strip of the same fabric. So this is going to be my binding when it's done, going around the whole thing. And then lastly, it's going to be like an envelope pillow on the back with this piece here and this piece here. And these are, I folded and ironed the raw edge in and did just a top stitch going down. So that's going to be the back of the pillow. So all of that's going to come together now that I have my quilt blocks done. All right, so let's go and see about stitching this piece together that I have. And we can stitch this one too. So these are some little clips that came in the first month's box, I think in July. So like every month they give you a notion. So I now have a good collection of notions going on. Oh, where is my pins? I got pins last month, some nice like long pins that you can use for, that's great for quilting, I learned. All right, so let me make sure I'm doing this right. This is going like this. Nope, this is not right. This is going like this and like this. So this needs to come together, and this is where it needs to be sewn. And I'm just checking to make sure that these pieces of the wreath come together in the right spots to make the nice points there. Okay, so I'm gonna do, probably on this side, the 1/4 inch seam allowance down both of these. So let's go back over to the machine. All right, so we're done embroidering. We're gonna hit OK. We're gonna hit the home button. OK. And so my embroidery arm's here because it knows that the embroidery arm is plugged in. And I also have the embroidery foot, which has a plug back here. It knows all that's in, and so it's in embroidery mode. But I'm going to change that. And so I just use this little tool that came with the machine to loosen up this screw where the foot is on. And now I take off the embroidery foot. And this is my 1/4" seam foot that came with the machine. And I just put that on. Where's the thing? And then I tighten this back up. And just use my little tool to make sure it's actually tight. All right, then I'm gonna change my thread. I'm gonna cut, and I'm just gonna use white thread to piece these together. And I have the bobbin thread to go with it. This is my bobbin thread that I wound with the same top thread. Pull and cut. Make sure that tension is set good. All right. Wait. Kind of flew back when I did that. Okay. All right. So now I just hit sewing, and it's going to tell me the embroidery carriage is going to move. And ta-da! Now I have all of this sewing space still while the embroidery arm is on the machine. I don't have to move any big, large pieces. Now, if I wanted to, I could, and it does come with this sewing arm that you can replace and have it here. So that's something you can do. And then also, I really like those Sew Steady big clear tables. I think that's something I might invest in down the road once I start sewing more. I have my foot pedal already plugged in. I keep that on the side. That's not something you have to take on and off. It can just stay. And here are my blocks already done. So, and then the things that I like to change are, they have a laser light so you could see right where you're sewing direction is going. And then they have a option to cut the thread automatically for you and reverse the thread automatically for you, do your back stitch, and then the presser foot rides, but the needles stay down when you let go of the foot pedal. So all these little extra features that I've learned about that I really like. So this guide foot is super helpful, especially for me. And I'll lower that, take that, and then just start stitching. So I think for quilting, it's not super important to do the back stitch for piecing. So that may not necessarily be something you need to do, but I like that my machine can do it. So I could go there and then take this one, make sure everything's lined up good, and then just keep going. And I can tell with that laser pointer that I'm going, I could see the stitch guideline, like where I'm supposed to stitch. And I can just make sure my laser is staying right on that. And then if I did want to, I could back stitch here and it will cut and raise and all those fun things. So those two pieces are done. Let's see how good of a job I did putting them together. So there's my scissors. I can cut this and let's open. Not bad, not bad. This one could have been better. Not bad, not bad. All right. So now I have these pieces done. And then next I would fold this over and stitch this. And so that all 4 blocks are hooked together. And then, like I said earlier, we'd follow with the border going all around it. Then the back of the pillow, and then the binding. So I hope that y'all enjoyed this month's November Perfectly Pieced unboxing and tutorial, and I'm really looking forward to finishing this pillow. I'm going to finish it today, because if I don't do it today, things get put in piles on the side and then I never get to it. So but I hope you enjoyed this. So let me just check the questions real quick. So Annette said, thank you for showing how to change the sewing. It's so easy. Literally just changing that foot, going back to your home screen and hit sewing, and the arm moves out of the way and you can just start stitching. I was so intimidated by having the sewing embroidery combo and thinking I wouldn't really use it. I was having another machine set up as sewing and this one always set up as embroidery, but once I finally played with it, it's so easy, so nice. All right. So Lady Fair said, which it's called a piecing foot, I think. It came with the machine, and it has like a little guide bar so that you get that perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance. Does the Altair come with an extension table? I don't think it did. No, I think it just came with the embroidery unit and then that other piece I showed you. I think you can get an extension table for it. The one I would personally get is the Sew Steady giant acrylic extension table, and they have those at Sewing Machines Plus, so you can call Jean and ask her about that. Remember, her phone number is in the description box, and she could help you get one no matter what kind of sewing machine you have. They have them custom for all the machines. Thank you, Linda. Yes, please. If you're on YouTube, if you can give it a thumbs up. If you're on Facebook, if you can like, and then of course share. That I really appreciate y'all watching and sharing and liking my videos with your friends. All right. Okay, so Cindy asks a good question. What type of thread am I using to sew the squares together? Is it still embroidery thread? Yes. So the only thing I did was, instead of using my 90 weight bobbin thread, I'm using my 40 weight embroidery thread, and I wound a bobbin with that 40 weight white embroidery thread. So I have it marked on top of my machine. So whenever I have just sewing projects, I'll throw that bobbin in, or I'll make a bobbin matching my sewing thread. So, oops, sorry, my camera likes to blink. So when I was doing my quilting, where's my quilting project that I never finished? Here, I still have to do the binding on it. So this is the quilting project I did. This is the August Perfectly Pieced. And I did this with the clear blue tiles. And I used the thread color that came with my box. It was this pretty cream colored. And I wound the bobbin with that cream colored thread. And you can't see it on the back because of the material, but so that way it matches front and back. And I do that for my little sewing projects too. I don't have an abundance of cotton thread. So I just end up just using my embroidery thread because I already have all the colors. So I don't want to buy more thread. But I know with quilting, people tend to like cotton. But with the embroidery machine, I'm almost positive polyester is what's recommended. Yes, Cindy, that laser feature is super nice. Okay, Lady X, if I can show that guide foot up close. Let me switch you. All right, let's zoom in. So let me just pop the foot off and make sure it focuses. So this is the piecing foot. You could see what it looks like it guides it right through the middle, and then they have this metal bar that is a guide to show you right where to line your fabric up. so that you get that 1/4 inch seam allowance. So that is the piecing foot. I think I could do this. There we go. That goes right back on. All right. And Mary says, please post a picture when I'm done. I definitely will. You can check out my Facebook page. I have an Instagram account, and then I have a Facebook group. If you're not already a member of, come join us there. We're always posting all our projects in there, and it's a lot of fun. All right. So Linda, yes, so Linda's in the CF fans group, and we are having a Zoom class tomorrow. So yes, I can definitely show you in the Zoom class tomorrow for the fans membership group, because I'm finishing it today. Y'all have to hold me accountable. So now I really got to get it done. All right, yay. So Lady said she's going to go buy that foot. It's really a great foot. I never noticed it came with my other sewing machines. I have 2 other sewing machines. I never noticed that foot came with it. So when I was going through all the feet that came with the Altair and trying to figure out which one, what did what, because it's still very much a learning process, I was really excited to see that one, because I was like, okay, that's the one that's going to help me, because I can't sew a straight line, and I'm terrible at making sure the material stays in the, like, I'm always guessing, like, they have guidelines on there on the machine itself, but just making sure I'm really holding it in the right spot, that helps me a lot. So, all right. So thanks everyone for joining me today. If you're watching the replay and you have any questions, make sure you post them in the comments below the video. And if you're a CF fan member, I'll see you tomorrow for our Zoom class. If not, everyone else, come join me next Friday for Sip and Stitch, all about Embrilliance Essentials. And then definitely check out the holiday workshop that I'm having November 14th through 18th. 5 exclusive holiday projects made from start to finish. You get the designs, the supply lists, the PDF instructions, and the Zoom classes, whether you want to come live or watch the replay. And we also have a private Facebook group for all workshop attendees to communicate with one another, ask questions, and post pictures of all the fun projects that we make. So thanks again for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. Bye, everybody.